Have you ever made a big purchase and then after you made the purchase, you realized, oh my goodness, I just made a huge mistake? That has happened to me, and more than likely it has happened to you too, at least once. That's what we're talking about in today's episode. I am MJ Callaway. I am your source for results and increased revenue. Sometimes we need to make that big purchase, or it doesn't even have to be a big purchase. We need to make that purchase in order to realize the mistake we made and also the solution we need. And hopefully you haven't lost a lot of money like I did over this big purchase. I will say the end result, I learned a lot from this mistake. So that big mistake is I hired the wrong coach. And here's how it happened. I was a few years into my business and I knew I needed to move the needle. And for some reason, I wasn't going in the direction that I needed to go in. And I wanted a third party or an outside source to look at my business with a different lens to see how this person can help me solve my problems. So I asked a number of my colleagues who they were working with. And these are colleagues that I respected and colleagues whose business grew within the past year from the time I started looking for a coach. And I heard one name over and over again. So I jumped right in. After talking one conversation with his coach, I jumped right in and I hired the coach. Within a few weeks, I realized this coach was a lot like me. This coach generated a lot of ideas. We were both idea generators. And within a few weeks, I had more ideas to implement than I had time to implement. So the first mistake was, one, the coach was a lot like me. The coach was an idea generator, and that wasn't exactly what I needed in my business at the time. Mistake number two, we didn't dig down to find out what the real problem was. We didn't go down into the root of the problem. So think about this. Have you ever had a plumbing problem and you thought it was an easy one? And then the plumber came in and realized it wasn't a surface problem. It was a problem outside where it had to be dug up because it was coming from the street into the house. Well, that's what we didn't do. We didn't dig down to find out the root of the problem, the underground problem. And for me, that was systems. I didn't have enough systems in place. And the third mistake for hiring this coach was we hadn't looked at my business model. We hadn't looked at where I wanted to go in a year or 2 years out because we were focusing on ideas, on what I could do instead of the solutions I needed to create in order to move my business forward. However, I won't say it was a complete mistake because I learned a lot through this process. We always learn something from someone. And in this case, I learned that I really did need systems. And two, I really did need a new business model because the business model that I had at the time was not going to take me to where I needed to be. So what did I do? I did take all of the ideas. I gathered them. I took them like a sponge. However, I had set them aside into a separate journal that I can go back and I can pull those ideas when the time is right. Number two, I hired 2 people to join me on my team. And both of my team members are system generators. They love systems. which is awesome because that is not the way I think naturally. And it is the way they think. They think in systems and they think logically. So I hired two members to my team. And the third solution to my problem. And the third solution to my problem was I looked at my business model. And what's crazy is I looked at my business model while I was recovering from a major surgery. And I looked at that business model and I knew it wasn't a business model that I wanted a year out or 2 years out. And I created a business model that would work for me long term. At the time I was working with this coach, it was a business model that I was only on site. And after working with this business model, I created programs that I could have passive income with down the line. Although working with this coach didn't give me the exact results I wanted at the time, it did give me 3 ways to correct where I was in my business at the time so that I could move the needle and get the results I wanted in my own business. This is MJ Callaway sharing a few mistakes with you to help you avoid those mistakes I made so that you can grow your business and you can increase your revenue with the results you want. And remember, make it a bounce up day.